Yasujiro Ozu depicted human nature as it really is, and that means that sometimes his story comes with surprises, and that is because he was a really keen observer of human nature and human behavior, and sometimes humans behave unpredictably. For example, in early summer, the girl of the house, played by Setsuko Hara, suddenly accepts a marriage proposal from the mother of a young doctor whose wife has passed away. And although the relationship between the daughter and the young doctor is portrayed in a favorable color, until at that very moment, nobody expects that these two would be married. And so when the daughter accepts the mother's marriage proposal, it comes as a great surprise. But it is human nature, and that impulse or epiphany in which the daughter accepts the marriage proposal is so wonderful. I mean, it's something that could happen in anybody's life, and something that could bring a lot of joy to someone's life. When we talk about romantic love, it's usually done in a Romeo and Juliet way. Destiny holds two young people together, and if it's as if that they were destined to love each other many years before. So it was as if God's intention to that the young couple would get together. So that's a standard way of romantic love to be portrayed. But Yasujiro Ozu is different. Yasujiro Ozu depicts life in its full spectrum of contingencies. We never know, because we meet with many people each day of our life, and there's nothing certain. It's always up to the workings of many different elements of life, and sometimes we fall in love and sometimes we don't, and that difference is literally to the butterfly effect, the flipping of the wings of butterflies in our heart, and that could depend on many different elements. And we are living in a complex world of complexity where things are unpredictable, and all those films tells us that's true. In Tokyo Story, when the son doctor, who was kind of very cold to their parents when they were in Tokyo, received a telegram and a phone call that the mother is in a critical condition. So, naturally he is devastated and he appears to be sad. But then, just after he receives the really sad news, he goes on to see the garden of the house. And although the camera doesn't capture what he's doing, what he's looking at, it appears from the scene that he's actually whistling to a dog, probably, in the garden. And so just after receiving that really sad and devastating news of his mother's demise, he whistles to a dog in the garden. And this is really weird, you might think, but that's just human nature. When we are in stress and when we are in tight situation, we do sometimes do that kind of thing to release oneself, and we might actually whistle to a dog in the garden for no reasons. I mean, that's just human nature. So Ozu shows a mastery of observation there too, and that's how he successfully portrays human nature at its fullest spectrum of contingencies, and that makes what makes Ozu's film so wonderful. In Good Morning, which I think many people would find more light side of Ozu's films, it's a depiction of two young brothers who go about their life to seek joys, and one of the trick is to make wins, as you might have heard about the film. I mean, it's a really stupid idea, but when somebody pushes your forehead, you are supposed to break wind. A really boyish, feverish way of entertainment, but that is it. But the boys have some quarrels with their parents, and they get out of the house and they go around in town, and so there's this period of uneasiness for the boys and for the whole family. But then when the boys return home, they find that the father has actually purchased much seeked after television set. At the time, television was just being introduced into Japanese society, so having a TV in your house was a great deal, and the boys really desperately wanted to have one in their household. But the father was kind of stern about it, and the boys didn't have any hope of having a TV set in their house until the moment when they discovered the box containing the TV set, and that was a really great surprise. So the boys become really happy, and then the younger of the brothers starts using hula hoop, and just to show how joyous he is, and that's a wonderful moment, a moment of salvation, a moment of uplifting for the little boys and for the viewer too. And that is when Yasujiro Ozu is at his best, depicting human nature through these kind of idiosyncratic behaviors coming from other people. And that is what is so wonderful about Yasujiro Ozu. Going back to Tokyo Story, just after the funeral of the deceased mother, the children are having a meal together, and that is a tradition in Japan. After a funeral, they usually have food and sake, and it's called shojin otoshi. And that's kind of a marked contrast to the solemn ceremony of the Buddhist way of burial. And I think that's a kind of a balancing act in terms of life. After a solemn and very sad farewell to your loved one, probably you would do well to eat and drink. And probably this is universal. This is done in many cultures, I am sure. Ozu's film in Tokyo Story depicts that too in the Japanese style. So the children were having a dinner together, and they are discussing memories of the mother, how they went to see a firework, and how the mother enjoyed that, and how one of the boys, fell asleep because and so all these things, and typical family affair. But then, surprisingly, the boys, the children start saying really weird things, like the youngest son said that he would probably have to go back to his hometown of Osaka because there's a baseball game, and another asks about her mother's clothes and asks if she could have one of these, and that is not really considerate, right? Just after the mother's death, but the children do say these things, and so these remarks are kind of surprising, something that you wouldn't write in our play, where you are, having some presupposed assumptions about how humans behave, some Soundgarden type assumptions about how small human behavior should be in these situations. But also it's different. He's very, very aware of all the different possibilities that humans are, capable of pursuing when they act and when they speak. So all these films are doing justice to all these different aspects of life, and that is a wonderful art of Yasujiro Ozu. So I think all those films are really wonderful in terms of the depth and width of humanistic values, and he is versatile when he is depicting human behaviors which are not really great, as when he is depicting human natures that are really great. And that is the beauty of the art of Yasujiro Ozu. So I have been walking in Tokyo, and I have been talking into my iPhone, and it is raining. I think this is the end of the summer.